Have you ever questioned the dynamics of your relationship and wondered if there are underlying signals you might be missing? I know I have. I dated someone who seemed perfect on the outside, but little inconsistencies in her stories and actions gave me a nagging feeling that something wasn't quite adding up. It wasn't until I started paying more attention to certain subtle cues that I started to understand the full picture of her past experiences. Relationships are complicated, and sometimes small clues can lead us to learn more about our partner's past. In this video, we'll look at 10 signs that may mean your partner has had more than one sexual partner. By recognizing these signs, you'll learn important things about how your relationship works, and you can handle them with clarity and confidence if you stay until the end to find these important lessons and learn how to use them in your own life. Before we start, I'd appreciate it if you could. You can help me keep spreading the Stoic philosophy if you like the movie. If you haven't already, I suggest that you subscribe and turn on the bell so that you don't miss any shows. Please comment on number 1 if you like the topic of this video. If you don't, please comment on number 0 to let me know so I can make a better video for you. Now let's start with number 1. Has she ever been so comfortable with physical intimacy that it made you feel more worried than excited? Maybe your first intimate encounter wasn't just amazing, it was almost too perfect. You were expecting a wonderful experience, but it felt like she had done it a million times before. Did she show an unnerving level of comfort and boldness with physical intimacy, taking the lead with an ease that caught you off guard? This level of ease and confidence in the realm of physical closeness could indicate a wealth of past experiences instead of being the one to initiate. She may have taken the lead, showing a familiarity that suggests she knows how to do it well. An experienced partner might not be afraid to cuddle, kiss, or even do more adventurous activities, showing a level of comfort that goes beyond what you'd expect from a novice. If you're a sensitive person, you may be able to tell if this familiarity comes from real passion or a history of many encounters, but it's important not to jump to conclusions based on this observation alone. Could make people wonder it's only one thing to think about. There is a wide range in how expressive and skilled people are in bed, and some people naturally exude confidence and skill without having had many sexual encounters. Because of this, it's important to pay attention to other signs and cues to see if she is really the right partner for you. Number 2, stays away from emotional closeness in relationships because they are so complicated. Emotional closeness is a cornerstone that provides comfort during difficult times and strengthens the bond between partners. However, there are times when even the strongest people need emotional support and turn to their partner in the hopes of finding comfort and connection in their relationship. Having a strong spiritual connection and being able to offer emotional support are two things that can help a relationship last. But what if, despite your best efforts to connect emotionally, you are met with silence? What if your partner's physical presence hides an emotional absence, leaving you feeling like you're floating in a sea of unspoken words and unshared thoughts? Such feelings as, it's possible that behavior that includes avoiding deep emotional conversations could be a sign of a history full of love relationships. If a woman has been in multiple relationships before, she may avoid emotional intimacy and keep her feelings at arm's length. But how can you tell if this avoidance of emotional connection is on purpose? Imagine trying to have an honest conversation with her, only to find her steer the conversation towards lighter, more surface-level topics, or quickly change the subject altogether. It's as if she's afraid to go into deeper waters because she's emotionally vulnerable. This avoidance can leave you feeling emotionally empty, as you try to figure out if her reticon is caused by a lack of interest or a deeper emotional wound. If you're having trouble with this emotional disconnect, you might want to rethink how you're dealing with it. But before you jump to conclusions, think about the possibility that her guarded behavior is based on past emotional pain. Have patience and be willing to dig deeper. May show the emotional layers hiding beneath her surface, throwing light on whether her hesitance is just a temporary sign or a sign of a deeper reluctance to connect in these murky waters. Understanding and empathy are important for building a stronger emotional bond. Third, a history that isn't clear or is inconsistent. Digging into someone's complicated past can often reveal clues about their romantic journey, And inconsistencies in this story can be a sign of a complicated history. For example, let's say months have passed and you're still struggling with doubts about her past. The details she shares seem vague, leaving you with more questions than answers. One day she tells stories of ex-lovers with vivid clarity, and the next day she gives a different account. Maybe she drops the names of several people, leaving you to piece together pieces of a romantic saga. Or maybe she talks lovingly of a long-term ex-lover in one breath but then says there was no such relationship. These inconsistencies, whether they're subtle or obvious, cast doubt on the truth of her story. It's like getting lost in a maze of half-truths and contradictions, not knowing which way to find clarity. However, it's important to remember that not everyone finds comfort in revisiting old relationships. Some people put more value on the present moment and choose to make new links instead of dwelling on the past. But if these contradictions make you feel uneasy or worried, it might be time for a more in-depth look. What should you do in this very sensitive situation? You might want to have an honest talk with her about her past. Do so with sincerity and compassion, and ask for clarification on the issues that have come up. This will give her a chance to share insights into her journey. Pay attention to both what she says and how she acts. Sincere warmth and honesty can reassure you that she is committed to being honest. If she responds by filling in the gaps in her story with warmth and clarity, that's a good step toward building trust and understanding. On the other hand, if she doesn't, that's a bad sign. If explanations keep falling apart, leaving you with unanswered questions, you may start to think about whether or not your relationship is still worth maintaining. But be careful not to jump to conclusions too quickly. Understanding the complicated nature of human relationships requires patience and honest communication. It takes a careful balance of kindness and discernment to help Blossom figure out her past. By giving her a safe place to tell her story honestly and creating an atmosphere of trust and understanding, you make it possible for deeper connections to form between you. Remember that relationships are based on trust and openness, and that true understanding grows through honest conversation and self-reflection. Did these signs strike a chord with you? Let's have a serious conversation about it. And if you're ready to live a life of virtue and wisdom, subscribe for more content like this. 4 regular changes to plans at the last minute. Have you been the victim of repeated last-minute cancellations from her, leaving you feeling frustrated and left out? These sudden changes in plans can be more confusing than navigating the volatile changes of the stock market. But in the whirlwind of disrupted arrangements, have you stopped to think about the reasons behind this pattern? It's understandable that plans can change sometimes because of unplanned events. The fact that these delays keep happening brings up important issues. When something goes wrong once in a while, it's one thing, but when delays happen all the time, things need to be looked into more closely. The fact that she usually gives vague reasons for these cancellations is very telling. She might say that it's because of a sudden increase in work commitments or an unexpected friend coming into town, but she doesn't want to give you any more information. This evasiveness shouldn't be taken lightly because it could mean that she values other commitments more than your relationship, which could mean that her priorities aren't balanced. A busy life full of unplanned obligations, it's important to figure out if these cancellations are due to real emergencies or a lack of respect for your time and presence in her life. Talking about this problem in an open way is the best way to move forward. It's important to have a calm and honest conversation with her about how the frequent delays are affecting your relationship. Look for more information about why these sudden changes are happening. Bringing up these issues will help you see how important it is to treat each other with respect and care in order to have a good relationship. Head on, you make way for meaningful conversation and resolution. It's a chance to say again how much you value your relationship and set clear rules for what is and isn't okay to do. Remember that good communication is the foundation of any successful relationship. It will help you get through tough times and improve the bond you share. Is always comparing you to ex-partners in the complex a web of ties. Comparisons often show how complicated a person's love history is. For example, a woman starting her first relationship sees her partner through the lens of pure devotion, not seeing any similarities to other flames she has been in the past. On the other hand, if she has been through more than one partnership before seeing and hearing things from the past, may unintentionally show up in comparisons with her current beau. This unintentional mixing of the past and present can show up in minor but telling ways. Maybe she thinks about the delicious beefsteak you cooked at home and compares it to the cooking skills of a former lover. Or she might show admiration for an activity you've never suggested, inadvertently bringing up memories of time spent with a former partner. During times of conflict, she may also unintentionally compare your flaws to those of her ex-partner, leaving you feeling inadequate and full of self-doubt. Compare these things, even if they seem harmless. Doubt the sincerity of your connection and make you wonder about the depth of her past experiences. But in this chaos of doubt, it's important to remember that your worth is not based on comparisons to others. Instead of seeing these comparisons as signs of your flaws, you should take them as a sign that you are good enough. Recognize them as a record of her trip and experiences. People who have been in a lot of relationships are likely to use past relationships as comparison points, but it's important to stand up for yourself and refuse to be seen as just another contender. If her comparisons keep coming up and reminding you of her romantic past, it may be time to reevaluate the dynamics of your relationship and stand up for your worth as a person who deserves your full attention and respect. It's important to build a relationship based on mutual respect and appreciation where comparisons don't happen. Fade real connection and understanding will make your past mistakes seem small in comparison. By asserting your worth and refusing to be judged by them, you pave the way for a relationship based on honesty and unwavering confidence. Remember that you are not just another man. You are a unique person who deserves love and recognition in your own right. Have you noticed that your partner's behavior changes slightly whenever their phone comes up? Maybe it suddenly becomes their most prized possession, which they hold with a sense of guarded protectiveness whenever you're nearby. You may notice that they quickly turn it face down or quickly switch screens at the slightest sign that you're there. This newfound obsession with their device could make you wonder about how they interact with each other and how open they are. The seventh one is about physical look, a lot like the veil of secrecy around her phone. Paying close attention to how your partner looks may give you another glimpse into her mind, especially if she spends a lot of time primping and preening, constantly checks her mirror, or compliments others on their looks all the time. While there is some value in being proud of how you look, these actions show a strong focus on outward beauty. An intense interest in physical attractiveness may be a sign of deeper motives. It makes me wonder if her focus on outward beauty overrides the importance of inner traits and emotional connection in relationships. Could it be that her desire for physical perfection is more important to her than the desire for real emotional intimacy? One might not immediately see a link between her obsession with physical beauty and her love life, but upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that her fixation on beauty may have come from a history of shallow relationships. In other words, she may have learned to value physical attraction over emotional depth, seeing relationships through the lens of shallowness instead of substance, and to compare her physical traits with those of ex-partners or random acquaintances. This shows that she is stuck on superficial traits and doesn't want to have deep emotional talks. She gets stuck in a cycle of unimportant comparisons that keep telling her a story with no real link. When faced with these tendencies, it's important to talk about your worries about how the surface level of your interactions affects your sense of safety and self-worth. It's also important to stress the value of real emotional connection and mutual respect that goes beyond physical appearance. While it's true that personality traits can affect behavior, it's just as important to make sure that these traits don't get in the way of a healthy relationship. By facing these problems head-on and fighting for authenticity and depth, you pave the way for a relationship based on mutual understanding and genuine connection. Remember that accepting your unique qualities should never come at the cost of real emotional closeness and respect in a relationship. Stoicism tells people to treat sex and beauty with moderation, self-discipline, and a focus on inner virtue rather than outer wants. This can be done by exercising self-control and developing good traits. Number 8. The Stoics think that people can find more happiness and fulfillment in their lives, not wanting to, Talk about sexual health. Even though talking about sex can be awkward, every couple should have this conversation, especially about sexual health. This helps both partners make sure they're on the same page about safe sex practices and encourages open communication about sexual wants and needs. But what if your partner consistently doesn't want to talk about sexual health? May make people worry and ask why she did what she did. It's important to think about why she might not want to talk about her sexual health. She might be shy, but that's not likely, especially if she's been through a lot. Instead, her lack of interest may have deeper roots that have to do with her past. For example, if she's been with multiple partners, she might not want to talk about her sexual history or birth control choices because she's afraid of getting STDs or being judged for them. Despite these fears, it's still important to prioritize her health. Talking about sexual health is good for both partners' health. It keeps her body in good shape and gives you useful information about her past relationships. Going forward, it's important to be direct and stress how important it is to talk about these things openly and honestly in the relationship. When you bring it up, watch her reaction. There is a good sign of openness and growth in her if she is willing to talk about her worries. On the other hand, if she gets angry or gives vague answers, it could mean that there are deeper problems that need to be dealt with. In the end, clear communication and mutual understanding are key to having healthy and stable sexual health conversations. Number 9. Pain and suffering. Transitioning from meeting your partner's friends to meeting their own friends is an important step in any relationship. It gives you a chance to make links with important people in their life and learn more about their social circle. But if your partner hesitates or actively avoids introducing you to their friends, it could mean that there are problems between you. Requiring our attention times when your partner consistently avoids the idea of presenting you to their friends and makes excuses or changes the subject. When the subject comes up, rises should not be ignored in this way. In good relationships, her behavior is a clear sign that she might be hiding important parts of her life from you. For real partners are usually excited about including their significant others in many parts of their lives, such as social circles. The reason she might not want to introduce you to her friends could be anything from fear of past disclosures to worries about possible conflicts from past relationships. For example, she might be afraid that her friends who know about her romantic history will accidentally share sensitive information. On the other hand, she might be afraid of running into people from past relationships, which could make your interactions more difficult. If she resists or avoids introducing you to her friends, it's important not to ignore these signs. Open up a line of communication with your partner and say that you want to know why she doesn't want to talk to you. Go into the chat with empathy and an open mind. Clarity, rather than directly addressing the issue, can give you valuable information about her thoughts and motivations, which can help you understand the dynamics at play better. You could also try other ways to learn more about her social circle, like starting conversations with people you both know, or gently encouraging her to talk more about her friends over time. To get through the awkwardness of meeting new friends, you need to be patient, understand, and respect each other. If you create an environment that encourages honest conversation, you can work through these problems together and strengthen the base of your relationship. Remember that honesty and open communication are key to building trust and mutual understanding, changing priorities that leave you out. Now we'll talk about the last and possibly most important sign that may show if she has had multiple sexual partners. When we start a relationship, our partner usually becomes our top priority, taking precedence over other commitments and activities. This is because partners are central to our lives and play a central role in our relationships. If you find that you are consistently sidelined or marginalized in favor of other pursuits, it may mean that she is still dividing her attention among multiple individuals. Of course, she may have good reasons for changing priorities, like work or personal interests. Patterns of disregard that last for a long time can cause real worries. You might feel ignored and undervalued when she suddenly spends all of her free time making new friends, breaking plans she had with you, or focusing on hobbies that don't involve you. These actions can make you question whether or not her stated priorities are real, which can help you figure out what these changes mean. It's important to think about the bigger picture and any signs that might support your doubts. If there are other signs that she's been with other people in the past, it may further support the idea that you're not her only partner. Pay attention, but it's important to keep a clear head and not jump to conclusions too quickly. Take some time to look at how the relationship is working and learn more about her past and present situations. Have open and honest talks to voice your concerns and make sure everyone knows what you expect from them when it comes to mutual commitment and prioritization. In the end, your choice will depend on how comfortable and happy you are in the relationship. If her actions constantly make you feel unappreciated or unsure of her commitment, it could be a sign of deeper problems that need to be looked into further. Above all else, believe your gut and put your emotional health first. Remember that relationships need honesty, respect, and real investment from both people. If you find yourself settling for less than you deserve or giving up your values, you should probably rethink the relationship and find a way to move forward that fits with your long-term goals and dreams. You deserve to be with someone who values and makes time for you in their life, understanding that worth a lot of money one person. Stoicism tells people to treat sex and beauty with moderation, self-discipline, and an emphasis on inner virtue over outer wants. This can be done by exercising self-control and growing good traits. Stoics think that people can be happier and more fulfilled in their lives by practicing Stoicism. Stoicism is more than just a way of looking at things. It's also a way of living a good life, especially when it comes to hard issues and specific worries about a woman's past. Instead of dwelling on her past, Stoicism gives her a new point of view. To become silent, you need to focus on yourself and grow as a person. First and foremost, you need to become very aware of yourself. Ask yourself, what values are really important to me in a partner? Do her past events match these values? This is not a judgment, but a clear-eyed look at how well they'll get along. Next, Stoicism promotes the act of accepting things as they are. Every person has a unique past, and it's important to recognize that it has made her who she is today. The question is, can you truly embrace her past without holding grudges or condemnations? This doesn't mean agreeing with everything people do, but it does mean realizing that people change and learn from their mistakes. Stoicism also stresses how important it is to focus on the present. The past can't be changed, but the present is where life happens. What counts is how she acts now, the choices she makes today, and how you both find your way forward together. Living in the past only slows down progress and clouds perception. And third, Stoicism champions controlling their emotions. Jealousy, insecurity, and anger are all normal human feelings, but they can easily cloud our judgment and make us make bad choices. By keeping your mind calm and logical, you can see things clearly and wisely. This doesn't mean hiding your feelings, but rather knowing where they come from and choosing how to deal with them by following these Stoic principles. You can handle the difficulties of relationships with Grace's understanding and strength. Remember that you shouldn't judge her past, but rather give yourself the power to make smart decisions and build a future based on shared values, mutual respect, and real connection. As we come to the end of our look at the signs that someone has been in multiple sexual relationships, it's important to think about what we've learned and how we can use it in our own lives. We've looked at 10 different signs, ranging from subtle behavioral cues to more obvious patterns, all of which can teach us a lot about the dynamics of a relationship. What did you find most interesting about today's discussion? Was there a certain sign that struck a chord with you, or did you gain a new perspective? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. As we try to navigate the complicated world of relationships and personal connections, it's important to stay vigilant and aware of the signals that may hint at underlying truths. By recognizing and addressing these signs with honesty and integrity, we empower ourselves to build healthy, more fulfilling relationships. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful videos. We really value your time and support. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be careful and mindful in your relationships.